Hello, and welcome to this session on curriculum mapping and planning your first unit for remote learning. Today we are going to address the following objectives. What is curriculum mapping and why should we use it? What are the priority standards for my content area and where can I find them? How can I adapt a traditional unit plan into mini units better designed for remote learning? And what multimedia resources are available to help create an engaging remote learning setting for my students? So, what is curriculum mapping? Well, it creates a clear roadmap of content to be covered. It keeps the scope manageable, identifies your high priority items, identifies target standards, and aligns learning objectives to assessments. It highlights those must-dos of your curriculum. Remember, everything takes longer online, so it's just not possible to cover everything in an online environment that you would cover face-to-face. Over the summer, priority standards were selected for each content area and course of study. These were shared in the Friday Focus from July 31st. They are also linked in the resources for this session. You simply click on your hyperlink for your content area, and the Excel file will link you to your content priority standards. Once you know your priority standards, you can begin planning mini units of study. Here's a sample planning template. This is also linked in the resources for this session. Notice that the header has hyperlinks that allow you to jump between mini lessons easily. Above the planning rubric are places to identify the focus or topic for the mini unit, as well as a place to designate the aligned priority standard. You may target additional standards if they support the focus of the listed priority standard, but no more than 3 standards per mini unit. Moving into the rubric. First, we want to write a learning objective stating what we want our students to understand or be able to do by the end of the unit. Remember to use active and measurable verbs, keep the word specific and student-friendly, and remember to challenge our students into higher level thinking. Next, under instruction and modeling, think about what your students will need to see or hear you explain or model in order to gain understanding. How will you present this? Through video or video conferencing? Next, what activities or instructional strategies will you use to engage your students in the learning? How can you break up the hour of synchronous time to allow students to collaborate and interact with the new information being taught? More specific strategies will be shared during session 2. Then, how will students demonstrate their understanding? What assessments and feedback strategies could you use to gauge their learning? What kind of product could your students create to interact with the information being taught? More specific strategies shared in session 3. And finally, what multimedia resources can you use to engage your students in the material? How can you encourage your students to interact through a wide range of online tools, apps, or sources? Remember, this is just a template. You may use any planning format or model that you'd like. Just be sure to consider each component: your priority standards, a learning objective, synchronous teaching strategies, asynchronous activities, student-created products, and multimedia resources. Most of us are very comfortable with offline learning activities and tasks. But what could these learning opportunities look like in an online remote environment? We look to the 8 building blocks of remote learning for strategies to create active, engaged learning for our students. Things like direct instruction, modeling, discussion, practice and review, collaborative tasks, research and exploration, reflection and metacognition, quizzes, tests, and assessments. Here are some multimedia resources you could use to achieve the objectives of each building block. When transferring information from teacher to student, you could use WeVideo to record, and then applications like Edpuzzle allow you to add questions embedded into your videos. To engage your students in higher order thinking and discussion, you could use Google Meet for synchronous discussions or text based discussions through your Google Classroom. When students need to collaborate and share research, you may want to use many applications within the G Suite, such as a shared doc or Jamboard. Google offers many useful applications that allow you and your students to collaborate and interact with one another remotely. To offer your students engaging practice or a chance to apply their new skills, you could use an interactive quiz game like Kahoot. When assessing your students' understanding, you will want to use formative and summative models. You could do this by creating a Google Form quiz. And to encourage your students to reflect upon their learning, you could have them complete exit tickets via an online journal entry. As a suggested activity, create your first mini unit complete with multimedia resources. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, my name is Amy Hand, and you can feel free to contact me via the email address on the screen.